Spiritual Bond. Episode 3. The Stars Align. The forest wasn't dense per se, but it certainly felt that way. The sun was slowly sinking below the horizon, casting darkness on the trees deeper within. Because of this, Eliot was quite annoyed that Quill thought that now was the perfect time to explore it. "Do you want to get lost?" he complained. "Are you kidding? It's peak spooky hours," she replied. "The twilight, the trees, the atmosphere, the vibes. If I didn't check these woods out, who would I even be? A sensible person. Are you telling me you haven't explored the forest yet? They literally surround the mansion." "I have, actually. You know what there are? Rocks, steep drops, bears. I imagine not much has changed in 100 years in this regard. Now, imagine that when you can't see 10 feet in front of you. I understand your excitement, but it just isn't safe." That gave Quill pause, but she nevertheless marched onward. "That's why there's 2 of us. Extra set of eyes." They continued silently, with only the crunching of the leaves underneath Quill's feet to break the monotony. Night wouldn't fully take over for about an hour yet, and that was enough time to get the general gist of the woods. Quill had told herself she wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but she at least knew the woods at night were dangerous. Once night set in, they would head back to the mansion, and Eliot would have fussed over nothing. She turned on the flashlight she brought. It was getting dark, and there was no use exploring if she couldn't see anything. The flashlight, though small, illuminated a solid patch of trees in front of them. A silly thought came to her. "Do ghosts have night vision?" Eliot rolled his eyes, but looked away from the flashlight to check. "No," he sighed. "Darn. I was hoping ghosts got, one superpower," said Quill. "As an apology, you know? Kinda a way of saying, 'Oops, sorry you died. Here's a new ability for the second round.'" He shook his head, then suddenly perked it up. "Did you hear that?" Quill looked around. "Hear what?" "I swear I heard something moving." "Ah, I see. Your superpower wasn't night vision. It was super hearing." He shot her a look. Quill put up a hand in defense. "All right, it's probably an animal or something." "One that could attack us," warned Eliot. She began to trek farther into the woods. "If we keep moving, it probably won't bother us." "Probably. I'm moving on, and you can't stop me," shouted Quill. She didn't appreciate the hostility one bit. Any more of this and she'd start to get jumpy. And when she got jumpy, she couldn't think straight. And when she couldn't think straight in a darkened forest, she didn't want to admit it, but... "What was that?" Quill jumped. She shined her flashlight towards the source of the noise, but only found a bush. Eliot moved closer to her. "Thoughts on returning now?" She conceded. "Okay, yeah, let's head out." They turned back around towards the way they came, picking up their pace. To calm herself, Quill focused on the sound of her footsteps. It would have been a literal grounding technique if it weren't for the fact that she heard an additional set of footsteps. "It's following us." She swung her flashlight wildly, trying to see anything, anyone. It was right in front of them. At this point, Eliot was in front of Quill, putting an arm out to block her. "Stay back." The light was dead set on the foliage ahead. It shook and swayed. A figure was trying to escape it. Finally, it untangled itself, and Quill held her breath. Out stepped a disheveled man. He looked at them, confused. What's a young girl doing out in the woods so late? Could she say that she was exploring? That wouldn't sound too stupid, right? Exploring? He just looked more confused. In the dark? Yes? The stranger nodded. I see. You're not being kidnapped by any ghosts, are you? Perfect night for it. Quill and Eliot both jumped. Quill answered, What? No. I wasn't getting kidnapped. He let out a hearty laugh. Just messing with you. Got you good. Of course, Eliot breathed. He can't see me like those girls from the other day. Right. Oh no, I can see you mighty fine. Nice outfit, by the way. Very fancy. Wish I could dress like that. What? How? They had both assumed that everyone, bar Quill, couldn't see ghosts. A mysterious, lurking man in the forest that can see them was both fascinating and unsettling. The stranger beckoned them to follow. How would I bring it back to home base? I could probably explain a little better. They tepidly followed. When they caught up to him, Quill could make him out better from the shine of her flashlight. Despite it being summer, he was layered in multiple coats, with the outermost being a green camo jacket. His hair was equally messy, being a shaggy mop of gray, merging with a full beard on his face. As they walked, the stranger explained, I can't really see you, but I can just make it out. Think it has something to do with my little setup here. He motioned to a small station shrouded in the trees, a plain, wooden table covered in complicated equipment. Though it was a bit technical for Quill's liking, she could at least see a microphone and an old-timey radio. Behind it all, barely visible, was a mobile home. Ah, home sweet home. He plopped himself down on a lawn chair by the table. This doohickey here, he pointed at one of the machines, a bulky box, sends out electromagnetic waves. I mainly use it to shoot out radio waves, but it goes stronger too. Since no visible light's coming from it, it's probably infrared. Infrared detectors pick up any signs of heat, and your ghost friend just happens to emit enough to pick up. Hence, I can see him. Kinda. Picture's a bit fuzzy. Eliot floated closer to inspect. Fascinating. And this creates a wireless telegraph? A more modern one, I'm assuming. Telegraph? Oh, a radio. Yes, exactly that. I both broadcast and receive radio from here. It's pretty neat, said Quill. But why broadcast? Receiving is easy enough. Everyone does that. But why send them out yourself? Well, you see, he lowered his voice down to a whisper, like he was dispensing a great secret. I use it to search for aliens. They haven't responded to my calls yet, but if I keep broadcasting these waves, they might answer one day. Quill's eyes widened. Aliens! You're like some cosmic hobo. He made a face. Well, when you put it that way. Suddenly, the radio on the table fizzled to life. Oop! The cosmic hobo reached over to the tuner. Looks like I've got something. Let me just tune it. Aliens? Gasped Quill. Somehow I doubt it, replied Eliot. Have you located the supernatural entity? Not fully, but we found traces. We've asked around town, and one man said that his daughters met a ghost the other day. We're close. Are you telling me you tried to get reputable data from children? Hear me out. We investigated the claim, and one of the kids had several high-quality EVP recordings on her phone. Audio like no other. There is definitely a spirit around here. Very good. I'll come into town soon. We need to take the entity back to base. That wasn't aliens, said Quill. The cosmic hobo looked between Eliot and Quill, concerned. They sounded like they were talking about your ghost friend. They most certainly were, said Eliot darkly. Quill felt a million emotions at once. She had no idea how to process it all. So, she focused on one. Anger. Those twins! They snitched! They probably didn't know the consequences, Eliot responded. We didn't until just now. But now some weird people are after you. They can't take you away. What did they even mean by back to base? Yes, that is very worrying. Hey, said the cosmic hobo. I'm not sure what they're up to, or the full scale of what's going on, but it sounds like they mean business. Word of advice, from someone who's pretty off the grid. Hide. But where? Asked Quill. Her stomach was doing flips. Do you have some sort of safe house? Quill and Eliot looked at each other. The mansion, said Quill. I know every nook and cranny in that house, said Eliot. I'm sure I could find a hiding spot for both of us. Us? We can't be separated. If I hide, you're hiding with me. Oh, God, okay. The cosmic hobo stood. I suggest you run along now. The more time you have, the more prepared you'll be if they come. If I think of any other way to help, I'll give you a call. With nothing else to add, they both nodded and ran back the way they came. By then, the sun had fully set, leaving them in the blackness of the night. Luckily, the mansion wasn't far, and Quill's flashlight provided an excellent trail. But that didn't stop her heart pumping in her chest. She had no idea what she was up against, and all they could do was cower from the unknown. If she was smarter, she thought, she'd have a plan. She would get them out of this mess. But she didn't. All they could do right now was hide. To be continued in the next episode of Spiritual Bond.